The Democrats and media are in a panic as constitutional crisis becomes their rallying cry. It was a great week for RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. Plus, President Trump is more popular than ever. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the 13-minute news hour. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with the Democrats' latest buzzwords. But when you look at the Dems closely, it's really nothing new. President Trump has come in and he's delivering on his promises. One of those promises is to clean up Washington, to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, if the Democrats were smart, they'd get on board because cleaning up government should not be a partisan issue. And yet, not only do the Democrats appear adamantly opposed to getting rid of wasteful programs, but they are doubling down on attacking President Trump. And their latest phrase is constitutional crisis.
New warnings of a constitutional crisis just weeks into Trump's second term.
The stage is set for a constitutional crisis.
Could this signal the start of a constitutional crisis?
Legal experts say our country could be headed toward a constitutional crisis.
They're calling this a constitutional crisis.
This is a constitutional crisis.
I am unapologetic in suggesting we are in a constitutional crisis right now.
Are we already in a constitutional crisis?
Those two words, right? Constitutional crisis.
I'd love to know who is giving the Democrats advice. I think we should create a GoFundMe page just to make sure that person stays employed. The Democrats have learned nothing from the 2024 elections. Rather than try to do something that the American people actually support, the Dems bring out the constitutional crisis line that they used over and over again during the first Trump term.
We will ask two experts about whether or not this is a constitutional crisis.
We've never faced quite the constitutional crisis that we do right now.
They are fomenting a constitutional crisis.
Yes. Are we staring down the barrel of a constitutional crisis?
This is an existential constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis, possibly.
The constitutional crisis alarm bells are ringing. But is anybody listening?
It's just so tired and unoriginal. But as Democrats and the media continue the attack, Trump, Elon Musk, DOGE, and congressional Republicans are working hard to deliver. The media, rather than reporting on all the wasteful spending that has been happening, you'd think that would make a good story, instead are attacking the administration for not providing proof. For one thing, the Trump administration is being amazingly transparent. And two, journalists can and should do research, right? Isn't that part of creating a story? But White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is more than happy to help.
These are screenshots of contracts that DOGE found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that DOGE identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing.
There are contracts and contracts and contracts. It's all right there. But the Democrats and media are consumed by Trump's derangement syndrome, and they won't see past their go-to talking points. Here's Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Democrats and DOGE.
Democrats are more interested in defending the bureaucracy than defending democracy. They are so worried that we are going to actually find waste, fraud, and abuse and stop it that they are pitching temper tantrums left and right on my subcommittee. We aren't going to allow it to happen. We'll keep them reined in, but we're also going to do the important work that has to be done.
In the meantime, the real abuse of power is coming from leftist judges who are trying to tell the president how to be the president. The president is the boss of the executive branch. If he sees waste and fraud, he can eliminate it. If he wants to fire people and downsize, he can do it. But as the Democrats scream constitutional crisis, what they are really doing is clinging to the deep state because they know that the money trail leads back to them. Stay tuned. There's so much more to be uncovered. All right, next let's talk about Trump's nominees. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, Just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Next, let's talk about the two crucial votes that happened this week regarding Trump's picks for two very high-level positions, the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Director of National Intelligence. Trump's nominees, RFK Jr. for HHS and Tulsi Gabbard for Intelligence, faced grueling confirmation hearings with left-wing Democrats grandstanding in order to tarnish these individuals. Tulsi Gabbard used to be a Democrat. She ran for president as a Democrat. RFK Jr. ran for president as well, and he's still a Democrat. But the left-wing establishment turned on these two leaders and brought out the venom. In the end, they couldn't stop the Trump train.
That final vote tally was 52 senators in favor of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination and 48 against. This drew mostly along party lines with the exception of Republican Senator Mitch McConnell, who was seen as a potential no vote in all of this. Not enough to derail his nomination, but certainly Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other nominees cannot afford to lose more than 3 Republican votes.
The Republicans stood united for RFK Jr., even Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. They all stood together, except Mitch McConnell. He voted no, and he was the only Republican to do so.
Mr. Kennedy failed to prove that he is the best possible person to lead America's largest health agency. As he takes office, I sincerely hope Mr. Kennedy will choose not to sow further doubt and division, but to restore trust in our public health institutions.
McConnell is just the worst, but that was only part of his week. In addition to RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard was also confirmed by the Senate and will serve as Trump's Director of National Intelligence, with Mitch McConnell voting against her. Here's Democrat Senator Claire McCaskill, former Democrat senator, speaking out on Gabbard's confirmation on MSNBC.
I can't tell you how disappointed I am in my former Republican colleagues, who many of whom know better. I think there's a certain irony that I would quote Mitch McConnell today. Mitch McConnell said, "It's her judgment." Do you really want somebody in charge of this really sensitive and important part of protecting our national security, someone who's had such poor judgment in the past?
What a waste of a network. Gabbard spoke from the Oval Office following her swearing in and pledged to do the job of the American people.
So I look forward to being able to help fulfill that mandate that the American people delivered to you very clearly in this election, to refocus our intelligence community by empowering the great patriots who have chosen to serve our country in this way, and focus on ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people.
Great comments, and a great week for Trump nominees. Now, not only were RFK and Gabbard confirmed, but Kash Patel, Trump's nominee to head the FBI, was voted out of the Senate committee and will now face a full confirmation vote next week. Next, President Trump is entering uncharted territory with new polling that has come out this week. It has to drive the media and Democrats crazy to be living in a world in which their deep state is being dismantled around them, and to have their main opponent be more popular than ever. Here's CNN.
All right, let's take a look. Trump's net approval rating on February 9th. Look at this. In 2025, he's at plus 4 points. Look where he was in 2017, his first term at this point. He was at minus 5 points, so he's doing nearly 10 points better on the average. And more than that, as I mentioned, it's not just the CBS News poll, it's the Ipsos poll, it's the Gallup poll, it's the Pew poll. All of these polls have him in better shape than those respective polls had him at this point back in 2017.
Across the board, Trump has positive approval ratings. It's just outstanding. And the CBS poll, which was mentioned in that clip, goes even deeper into the reasons why. The CBS poll shows that 70% of those surveyed believe Trump is delivering on his promises. The poll also shows Trump with a 53% approval rating. Here's more.
Is when we looked at what we had people describe about Donald Trump during the campaign, words that they thought described him, and we ask them now, you see these big numbers that sustain views that he is tough, energetic, focused. All of these things are some of the reasons that you see those positive approval numbers.
Tough, energetic, focused, and effective. Basically, everything that Joe Biden was not. On the issues, Americans love what he's doing with deportations, securing the border, looking for fraud and waste, and more.
We saw voters approving of that idea in the campaign when they voted for him. And, somewhat related, sending troops, U.S. troops to the U.S.-Mexico border, again, gets even higher, gets 2/3 of approval. And then his supporters like the focus on some other things like cutting government spending, other aspects where you see, especially for that base, people saying right at the outset anyway, he's delivering a lot of what they expected.
Trump has never been more popular than he is right now. And it comes down to simply this: promises made, promises kept. Okay, so we have the Democrats crying constitutional crisis, Mitch McConnell being Mitch McConnell, and the media in a meltdown over Trump polling. We need to ask them, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
First, on Relaxed Brain Friday, we have Democrat Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, who provided us with the newest comment that shows America that the Democrats are just wacky. Schakowsky visited a manufacturing plant and relayed these comments.
So I asked them, so how many of those students that are signing up and want to do this, how many are women? And they said, well, I know there's at least 13% or something. It was a low number. And you had mentioned trying to engage more women in manufacturing. I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy.
Are you kidding me? And the Democrats wonder why they lose. Next, here's Elizabeth Warren, who proves that Democrats have no principles. They will say whatever benefits them at the time. Here's Warren on the courts.
We have a Supreme Court that has basically jumped the guardrails and is out there giving power to the president, saying that the president can commit any act that the president wants, saying that Congress cannot authorize agencies to act. So we've got a Supreme Court that is actively undermining our democracy. My view right now is the courts are where we are hanging on to our constitutional structure. They still have the power to hold everybody else in this country in contempt if they do not follow lawfully issued court orders.
Courts going after Biden? Bad. Courts going after Trump? Good. And finally, the Worcester City Council in Massachusetts voted to become a transgender sanctuary city. Here's some of the public comments.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
So, there you go. And that's our Relaxed Brain Friday. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Monday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.